I woke up in the life of a trophy husband to a tech CEO, and the first thing she handed me wasn't coffee, but divorce papers before I could even get used to the obscene wealth. She was telling me her old flame, the one that got away, was coming back to the States, and our marriage had to end immediately. I did a quick mental rewind. 3 years married to Sophia Grant, the ice queen of Silicon Valley, and she hadn't let me lay a finger on her not once, and now she was telling me to my face that she was dumping me for another guy. The sheer audacity of it was stunning. I was genuinely shocked. How could anyone be so goddamn shameless? Smack, my hand flew out and connected with her cheek. God forgive me. I just couldn't help myself. My bad, Mark. Sophia shrieked, clutching her face, where a red print was already forming. She stared at me in disbelief. Did you just hit me? Smack. I hit her again on the other cheek. Sorry, I have a thing for symmetry. My obsessive-compulsive tendencies just kicked in. Couldn't leave one side looking all pristine. You hit me again. Her voice was a dry whisper, her eyes wide and brimming with tears locked onto mine. She looked so utterly betrayed, so fragile, like she might shatter. You hit me twice. How could you? Of course I could. Based on years of reading people, I knew one thing for sure. She was the one in a hurry to get this divorce, which meant all the leverage was mine. If she wanted me to sign that paper, she was going to have to play nice. So what if I hit her? She had to suck it up. Oh my God, Sophia, I'm so sorry. That was a visceral reaction, I said, my expression instantly shifting to one of earnest concern. A total lie, of course, a visceral reaction. She repeated, her brow furrowed in confusion. Exactly, I nodded, my tone deadly serious. I'm a man, I'm your husband, and you stand here in front of me telling me you're leaving me for some other guy. Of course, I'm going to have a primal visceral reaction. I didn't mean to do it, I swear. There was a sliver of truth in that. I mean, put yourself in my shoes. Your wife of 3 years keeps you at arm's length, then demands a divorce for her high school sweetheart. Most guys would probably burn the house down. Sophia considered this for a moment, then gave a slight nod. I know these 3 years have been unfair to you. See, even she knew she was being an asshole. Just look at the divorce agreement. I'm willing to give you $5 million as compensation, she said, gesturing to the papers on the table with a tilt of her chin, as if the slaps were already ancient history. $5 million. My eyebrows shot up. I picked up the agreement. Sure enough, it stated that upon signing, $5 million would be wired to my account. I pressed my lips together, then looked up at her. Sophia, let me ask you something first, and I need you to be honest. Ask, our combined marital assets. Were we talking total? The question visibly darkened her expression, but she answered truthfully, the company real estate, all of it. It's probably around $1 billion. Hearing that, I narrowed my eyes and just stared at her, not saying a word. We were worth $1 billion, and she was offering me $5 million. She had the nerve to say that out loud. The fact that I wasn't slapping her a third time was a testament to my newfound self-control. She fidgeted under my gaze, quickly trying to justify herself. But most of that was earned by me over the past 3 years. It has nothing to do with you. That's when I remember the backstory. Ours was a marriage of convenience, a strategic merger of two families. In reality, Grand Innovations had only grown into a behemoth because my parents had sacrificed their own company's interests, funneling resources and opportunities to support their daughter-in-law's venture. If you looked at it that way, a much bigger piece of that pie was rightfully mine. I took a deep, calming breath and looked at her again. I had to admit, she was a knockout, wavy brunette hair, standing at least 5'9", with flawless skin, bright, intelligent eyes, and a tall, slender figure that was all elegant curves and long legs, a perfect 10, a bona fide goddess. And yet my predecessor in this life had spent 3 years acting like her live-in butler and court jester, dutifully serving up emotional support like an adoring puppy, only to get a cold divorce agreement and less than 1% of their total assets in return. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. Sophia, I said, stepping closer. I reached out and hooked a finger under her delicate chin, a wicked smile playing on my lips. You want a divorce? Fine, but first you have to sleep with me. She'd been saving herself for her long-lost love all these years. While I wasn't about to let her have her fairy tale ending, I was going to ruin it. Besides, we were legally married. Was it really so unreasonable? Her eyes widened in fury. If you don't agree, I added, twisting the knife, not only will I not sign, but I'll make sure your precious old flame finds out everything about us. My guess was she'd never bothered to mention to him that she was married. Playing a nice guy with Sophia was a losing game. The miserable fate of the guy whose life I now inhabited was proof enough. I'll give you 3 minutes to think it over, I said, stepping back and sinking onto the edge of the bed to wait for her decision. She glared at me for what felt like an eternity before finally spitting out, "Mark, I never knew you were this kind of person, you're the one who made me this way," I retorted with a shrug. She could save the moral outrage. I wasn't the same fool who'd do anything for her before this life. I'd worked 18 different jobs, seen the worst of people, and was terrified of being poor. My philosophy was simple: get what's yours, and then some. This. But when a divorce, I was going to take her to the cleaners. Fine, you win. She finally choked out her pride, conceding to her desperation. I immediately reached for her, my hand closing around her delicate wrist with a gentle tug. I pulled her into my arms. The old Mark might have worshipped this beautiful woman from afar, but I was here now, and I was more than happy to see what he'd been missing along. While later we were lying side by side on the bed, catching our breath, her legendary chastity was a thing of the past. I'd seen to that. Right now, she looked completely spent, but she still managed to push through the discomfort to bring up the divorce. "Can you sign it now?" "Not yet." "I refuse again." "Yep." She gritted her teeth, her brow furrowed in frustration. "You've already taken the most precious thing I had. What more do you want?" Sleeping with her was just settling the score for the last 3 years of neglect. Now, it was time to talk business. Most of her assets were marital property, including the profits from the deals my family had sent her way. I want a half non-negotiable. I wasn't some pathetic pushover from a cheap romance novel. I was getting what I was owed, plus a little something extra for emotional damages. I shifted slightly, pulling her closer into my arms. She resisted at first, but when I murmured, "Do you still want that divorce?" she went pliant and leaned against me. "Sophia, your body doesn't seem to hate me," I whispered, trying a different tactic. "Maybe we shouldn't get divorced." After all, her body might have been singing a different tune, but her words were a brick wall. We were, it turned out, incredibly compatible in bed. "No." Sophia's tone was resolute. "This divorce is happening." I sighed, defeated. "Fine, have it your way. But the assets are split 50-50 at that." She shot up in bed, her voice cold. "On what grounds?" "For 3 years, I was the one out there building an empire, while you were at home living the good life. Why should you get half of my net worth?" She was completely blind to the sacrifices the old Mark had made. I sat up too, shrugging. "If you don't agree, we can let the lawyers handle it." The ball was in my court now. It wasn't about whether she wanted a divorce anymore. It was about me getting what was mine. "Mark, you've changed. I don't even recognize you," she said, trying to change the subject. I knew she was trying to guilt-trip me, so I cut her off. "If you can't part with the money, then we stay married." I wasn't the one in a rush. She was the one desperate to run off with her high school sweetheart. In the end, Sophia couldn't stomach the idea of giving up half her fortune, so our negotiation stalled. I had someone do a little digging. Her old flame was named Victor Price. After a few years of failing to make a name for himself overseas, he was coming back to her. He was due to arrive in a little over a month, factoring in the mandatory cooling-off period for a divorce. That meant Sophia only had a few days left to decide whether to give me half her company. I was holding firm at 50%. Given the colossal sums of money involved, I was worried she or Victor might get desperate. So I took a little trip and filed a confidential report with my lawyer, documenting the situation. Just in case, that evening at dinner, I casually mentioned what I'd done. She was instantly furious. "Mark, you actually think I would hire a hitman to kill you after 3 years together? You think that's the kind of person I am?" "Maybe not you," I said with an indifferent shrug, "but who knows about your Mr. Price?" She scoffed. "Please, Victor has a good heart. He would never do something like that." I just smiled. "Whatever you say. All I know is if something unfortunate happens to me, the first people the police will be looking at are you and your boyfriend." "Sec," she snorted, dismissing it entirely. Later that night, remembering how the old Mark had slept in a separate room from Sophia, I slapped my forehead. "God, what an idiot." I muttered to myself. "No wonder you couldn't win your wife over in 3 years. Even if they didn't sleep together, sharing a bed for 3 years should have built some kind of bond. The guy was just too damn respectful." I was different. Pillow in hand, I barged into Sophia's bedroom. "Hey, honey, I'm home." Naturally, she was not. "Please get out." I ignored her, walked right over, and climbed under the covers. "You're my wife. It's perfectly normal for us to sleep in the same bed. I'm only just realizing today how truly shameless you are." She seethed. My eyes flickered to her laptop screen, which she hastily tried to cover. "Relax. I already saw it. It's just your chat history with Victor, right?" I smirked, pulling her hand away. "What did you guys talk about? Let me give you some pointers." "Don't look." Sophia panicked, but she was no match for my strength. I snatched the laptop and nudged her aside with my hip. "Izzy, in just one more month, I'll be able to see you again." I read aloud. "I know, Victor. I'm waiting for you." I continued reading, enjoying how she flushed with a mix of shame and anger, swatting at me. "Give it back." "Stop reading." I did, as she asked, closing the laptop and placing it on a nightstand. Then I rolled over and pinned her beneath me. "Honey," calling him by such a sweet little nickname It makes me jealous. I'm gonna have to punish you. It's not like I consider her my real wife anyway. So I didn't care how disgustingly sweet their messages were right now. My only goal was to get her worked up and reacquainted with her wifely duties. After a few rounds of punishment, Sophia finally settled down. When we were done, she was the one who snuggled up to me, curling into my arms like a kitten, her face a mask of pouting resentment. How about this? She proposed, trying to negotiate again. I'll sleep with you for a month. In return, you get 20% of my company stock and 10 of my properties. How about that? I roll my eyes. Nope. Then I stated my terms loud and clear. You want to divorce? The assets get split 50-50. Period. With that, I close my eyes and ignore her. Over the next few days, her desperation grew. She repeatedly tried to renegotiate the property division, but every negotiation session ended with me pulling her into bed for another discussion. Our marriage was a secret, so even though I was taking advantage of her, she couldn't risk making a scene, and that was my trump card. A month went by like this, and the divorce papers remained unsigned. She also happened to sleep with me for that entire month. Our nights were wild. We had a lot of fun. Then the day came. Victor Price was back in the country that evening. Sophia went to the airport to pick him up. Afterward, they went to a high-end restaurant and were seated in a cozy romantic booth. I had someone tailing them, and the photos of their lovey-dovey reunion were streaming directly to my phone. I grabbed the new divorce agreement I'd had drawn up and headed straight for the restaurant. The moment I walked in, I spotted them, Sophia and her precious Victor. The guy wasn't even as good-looking as me. I had no idea what she saw in him. Loverly's blind, I guess. Sophia saw me too. Her head immediately dropped like a kid caught with her hand in the cookie jar. Before I could even approach their table, she shot up from her seat and hurried to the restroom. I was waiting for her when she came out. What are you doing here? She hissed, glancing around nervously, still terrified of Victor finding out. I slapped the divorce agreement, the one demanding a 50-50 split, against her chest. Sign it. You don't want your knight in shining armor to find out you're already married, do you? And that you've been sleeping with me. The tables had turned now. I was the one chasing her for a signature. I'd read their chat history. Victor thought she was some pure, untouched maiden who had been waiting faithfully for him all these years. I figured I'd use that to my advantage. Go ahead, tell him, she said, her composure returning. After a moment, she shrugged nonchalantly. Worst case, we go scorched earth. You blow my cover, and I'll never sign these papers. You'll never see a dime of that money. With that, she tossed the agreement into a nearby trash can. I was momentarily stunned. I hadn't expected her to call my bluff. So much for Victor being my leverage. Izzy speak of the devil. Victor himself had come looking for her. When he saw me, his brow furrowed, and he immediately went on the defensive. Izzy, who is this? Hello, I said, not waiting for Sophia to introduce us. I'm Mark Scott. I'm a business partner of Ms. Grant's. I shot Sophia a look complete with a raised eyebrow. She had to be grateful for that one look at me, being so considerate to avoid ruining her date here. I was the husband pretending to be a stranger in front of the other man, Mr. Scott. Victor sidled up to Sophia, leaning against her, theatrically pretending to be a little drunk as he introduced himself. I'm her boyfriend, just got back in country today. He might have been acting tipsy, but the look in his eyes was sharp and full of suspicion. All right, Victor, let me get you a room upstairs to rest, Sophia said, propping him up. This place was also a hotel. As she turned to lead him away, Victor shot me a smirk over his shoulder. I read the message loud and clear of Victor's taunt to a loser. I wasn't worried. I followed them, and a few minutes later I booked a room for myself right next door to his. The moment they were inside, I called Sophia's phone. Hey, I'm in room 355 right next door. You have 60 seconds to get over here, otherwise I'm calling the tabloids, and we can all go catch a cheater together. Sophia and I had a marriage certificate. We were the real deal. What was Victor the other man, the homewrecker? I hung up without waiting for a reply. Meanwhile, in the room next door, the second Victor walked in. He tried to pull Sophia into an embrace. She hadn't planned on staying with him anyway, and my call was the perfect excuse. Seeing husband on her caller ID, she breathed a sigh of relief, pushed him away, and answered the phone, learning that her nominal husband was in the next room and demanding her presence within a minute. Left her speechless. But Victor, something urgent came up. You stay here tonight, get some rest, come by my office tomorrow, and I'll arrange a place for you to live. Without waiting for him to respond, Sophia rushed out. As the door clicked shut, Victor's face twisted into a dark scowl. It was at Mark Scott, he hissed, punching the wall. He had clearly seen the name on her phone. He didn't know what we'd said, but his gut told him our relationship was far from simple. After leaving the room, Sophia checked to make sure Victor wasn't following before slipping into my room. When she walked in, I pointed a thumb toward the bathroom. Go take a shower. I'm not letting you touch me again, she declared. Standing her ground, her voice firm. TCHI. Scoffed, unimpressed, cut the crap. I walked over, scooped her up into my arms, and carried her straight into the bathroom a little, while later the sound of Sophia's melodious, uninhibited voice drifted out from the shower. Victor did not sleep well that night. He showed up at the office the next morning with dark circles under his eyes, yawning as he greeted Sophia. Victor, what's wrong? Was it the jet lag? Didn't you sleep? Well, Sophia asked with concern. Last night, Victor said bluntly. The couple in the room next to me were going at it until the middle of the night. I didn't sleep a wink, and the woman, God, she was so loud it was like she had a built-in sound system. Hearing this, Sophia's face turned bright red. That woman with the built-in sound system was standing right in front of him. Just then I strolled into the office. I'd overheard Victor's complaint and walked past Sophia with my hands in my pockets, giving her a knowing lift of my eyebrows. She shot me a glare in return. Not a word was exchanged between us, but volumes were spoken the moment Victor saw me. His expression soured. Hey, you, he said, stepping in front of me to block my path. Izzy, what's he doing? Hear me? I pointed to myself and smiled. Answering for Sophia, I'm coming to work. Is there a problem? Let's set Victor off. Izzy, I don't like him being in the company. Fire him. I let out a small laugh, smirking at him. Sir, I'm a shareholder in this company. Your girlfriend doesn't have the authority to fire me. With that right in front of Victor, the first gave Sophia another eyebrow raise before turning and walking away, leaving him fuming. Izzy, buy out his shares. Get rid of him, he demanded. Sophia's brow furrowed. Forget everything else. Telling a CEO to just buy out a shareholder like it was nothing. Was this something a business school graduate would actually say? Did he think running a billion-dollar company was like playing house? Victor the first, think you have some prejudice against Mark, she said. And besides, a shareholder's equity is protected by law. I can't just arbitrarily remove him. As she spoke, her expression grew stern. Victor immediately realized his mistake. His eyes darted around as he tried to backtrack. I was just so angry at that guy. I wasn't thinking straight. I was talking nonsense. He quickly changed the subject. Anyway, Izzy, you said you wanted me to come to the company to arrange a job for me, right? All right. Sophia remembered she had originally planned to make him a project manager, but she had a last-minute change of heart. She would make him her personal assistant instead. Victor was thrilled. I get to be Izzy's assistant. That's great. I can be with you all the time. When I heard this news, I was not happy. I strolled into Sophia's office, coffee cup in hand, and locked the door behind me. Sophia, I said, I hear you're keeping your old flame around as your assistant. I am currently very, very unhappy. Sophia had been buried in paperwork. Hearing my familiar tone, she looked up, put down her pen, crossed her arms, and replied with a pout, just spit it out. What do you want? I smiled. After all these days of back and forth, my CEO wife and I were becoming quite attuned to each other. I walked over, down the rest of my coffee in one gulp, and set the cup on her desk. When I looked up at her, my eyes were gleaming like a wolf sizing up its prey. I raised my hands, rubbed them together, and crooked a finger at her. Stand up, turn around. We had tried every move in the book by now. Sophia knew exactly what I wanted. A deep, slightly bashful smile spread across her face. You'd better be quick, she said, her voice a low murmur. I have an important meeting in half an hour. She stood up and did exactly as I told her. Half an hour was a little tight, but for me it was more than enough time. When I finally left Sophia's office, Victor was waiting for me, clutching a file. He immediately blocked my path. You, the accountant. What were you talking about in my girlfriend's office just now? He demanded coldly. And why was the door locked? I inwardly sighed. The soundproofing in that office was too damn good. It was a real shame Victor hadn't been able to hear Sophia's beautiful symphony. I was delivering a financial report to Ms. Grant, I said smoothly. It contained sensitive information, so we locked the door to avoid being disturbed there. I was again helping Sophia cover up her crimes. It felt strange. We were the legally married couple, and yet here I was explaining myself to the other man. But thinking about it again, I found it all rather amusing. After my explanation, I gave Victor a little smirk and walked around him. From his perspective, my smile was a direct provocation. Don't think I can't see what's going on. There's definitely something fishy between you two, he muttered at my retreating back. Just then Sophia emerged from her office. Victor immediately stopped his grumbling and put on a fawning smile. Izzy, I finished the report. Can you take a look? Just leave it on my desk. I have a meeting to get to. I went back to the finance department and walked over to Eva Chen's desk, placing my empty coffee cup where she could easily reach it. Eva, what have you found? Eva was my person on the inside, helping me go through the company's books. Mark, all the accounts are clean, she reported. There's no sign of any asset transfers. I nodded. Eva had come from my father's old company. She was a top graduate from a prestigious university, incredibly capable, and completely trustworthy. If you find any hard evidence of her affair with Victor Price, file the suit immediately. I instructed her, a dark glint in my eyes. That was right. I wasn't just investigating Sophia's business dealings. I was preparing to sue her like I said it was her money. I was after her body and her heart. Those were just temporary perks. The next day, the whole office was buzzing with the rumor that the new assistant was the CEO's boyfriend. That new assistant, of course, was Victor, and riding on his new status, he started throwing his weight around, making a particular point of harassing the finance department. You people in finance should clean up more often, get rid of all these little plants, he said, pointing at the small succulents on everyone's desks, and these little trinkets too. He added his attention, turning to the various small decorations. Throw them all out. You're here to work, not to clutter your desks with all this useless junk. After his tirade, he swaggered over to my desk, grunted, and lowered his voice. I'm the one who's actually Izzy's boyfriend, he hissed. We're gonna get married. This company will be mine sooner or later. Just you wait. I'm gonna run you out of this place. I just smirked and couldn't be bothered to reply after Victor strutted away like a proud rooster. The entire finance department erupted in complaints. I just kept scrolling on my phone, ignoring the drama. That afternoon, however, a new company-wide memo was issued. All personal items, including plants and decorations, were now banned from office desks. Violators would be fined. Clearly, Sophia had taken Victor's suggestion to heart. Once again, I took my coffee and marched to Sophia's office. I locked the door, and under her watchful, questioning gaze, I swept the stuffed animal and the small cactus from her desk directly into the trash can. Sophia was furious. Mark, what the hell is wrong with you? I shrugged, arguing my case with perfect logic. New company rule: no decorations or plants on the desks. Sophia, you're the boss. You can't be making exceptions for yourself. She was rendered speechless. This new rule was Victor's idea, wasn't it? I asked. She didn't answer, which was an answer in itself. I let out a short, sharp laugh and leaned in close to her, my voice a derisive whisper. He tells you to jump. You ask how high? I'm getting very jealous right now. What do you think we should do about it? She knew what I meant, but this time she tried to resist. Stop it, not in the office. I don't want rumors spreading around the company. I didn't care what she wanted. I pulled her forcefully to her feet and lifted her onto the desk. While I left her office, it was 2 hours later, I glanced back at Sophia's supremely satisfied face and closed the door behind me, and once again I turned around to find Victor blocking my path. You were in there alone for 2 hours. Again, tell me, what are you doing? His face was a contorted mask of rage, his eyes bulging as if they were about to shoot fire. I was discussing work with Ms. Grant. Mr. Price, I said calmly. If you don't believe me, you're welcome to go in and ask her yourself. There I was again, explaining myself to the other man. It was hilarious, and for some reason, I was starting to enjoy it. Victor snorted. Let me give you some advice. Don't be a homewrecker. It's disgusting to interfere in other people's relationships. I froze for a second. I watched him strut into Sophia's office with his head held high, looking so righteous and indignant. It took me a moment to process what he'd just said. I shook my head with a soft laugh. I couldn't wait to see the look on Victor's face when he found out that he was the homewrecker. That night, Sophia set Victor up in an apartment near the office. My mole reported that she dropped him off at the building, but didn't go upstairs with him. I found that odd. You pine for your old flame when he's gone, I thought. But now that he's back, where's all that passion? I sensed that Sophia wasn't showing Victor the enthusiasm he probably expected. Logically, after years apart, this should have been like gasoline in a match, ready to burn for 3 days straight. But there was no fire. Soon enough, I found out why. A little while later, Sophia came home. The moment she kicked off her heels, she started complaining to me. You all day long, it's like you're on something. It's not enough at night. You have to have it during the day too. You're exhausting me. She sounded like a wife complaining about her overly amorous husband, and in that moment it clicked. It was because of me. I was the one keeping her so satisfied that she had no energy left for anyone else. I suddenly understood. I wasn't the old Mark. He had simpered and worshipped her and gotten nothing in return. I, on the other hand, tormented her, threatened her, and forced her to have secret chats with me in all sorts of places, and all of that, it was making Sophia fall for me. She hadn't mentioned the divorce in a long time. In fact, now I was the one chasing her to sign the papers. The good news: the CEO seemed to be falling in love with me. The bad: I was only in love with her money, and of course her body. The CEO didn't want a divorce anymore, but I wanted half of her massive fortune, while also keeping her in my bed. How was I going to pull that off? I needed a plan, a brilliant have my cake and eat it too kind of plan. To put it bluntly, I wanted to divorce her, take the money, and keep her around as my lover. Maybe I was just too greedy. Mark, what are you thinking about? Sophia's voice broke through my thoughts. She came over, sat right down on my lap, and rested her head on my chest, acting for all the world like a devoted wife. "I'm sorry," she murmured. "It was my fault. I shouldn't have listened to Victor without looking into it myself." She was apologizing for the desk decoration incident. She wasn't calling him Victor with any affection anymore, just his name. Based on my extensive experience, this was a clear sign she was ready to settle down and be a proper wife to me. But I was dead set on divorcing her the next day. The person I had watching Sophia and Victor sent me a video. They were alone in the underground parking garage. In the clip, Victor made a sudden move and hugged Sophia. Although she eventually pushed him away, the hug lasted for a decent amount of time. To put it bluntly, she hadn't resisted very hard with that kind of attitude. If Victor ever decided to force the issue, she'd probably just go along with it. Her hesitation solidified my decision. It was time to pull the trigger. "Eva," I call my assistant over. I gave her the video along with the screenshots of Sophia and Victor's sickeningly sweet online chats I collected earlier, and at the end of this video out, I instructed use it along with the chat logs as evidence. File for divorce on the grounds of adultery. I had finally filed a lawsuit against Sophia. When she was served with the papers, she stormed into the finance department like a hurricane, with a bewildered-looking Victor trailing behind her. Mark. Sophia slammed the legal summons down on my desk. "You'd better explain to me what this is." Victor stared dumbly at the papers. "A divorce petition, is he? What's going on?" Sophia had no time to explain to him. Her eyes were fixed on me, demanding an answer. I calmly put down my phone and looked up at her. "It's exactly what it looks like. I'm divorcing you." The moment the words left my mouth, the office erupted. "Whoa, did I hear that right? Mark, the accountant, is divorcing the CO? They were married, so that means Mark is Miss Grant's husband." "Wait a minute, if Mark is her husband, then what about Victor?" The first thought everyone said, he was her boyfriend. "Hold on, if the CEO has a husband, then Victor is the other man." "Exactly. And he's been ordering us around all this time, even yelling at her actual husband. How did he have the nerve?" The truth was out. I was Sophia's husband, and Victor, who had been parading around as her boyfriend, was completely dumbfounded. "No way, Izzy, you married?" he sputtered, grabbing her arm. "Tell me what's going on." Sophia was at her wits' end. She pointed a sharp finger at the door. "Mr. Price, please leave." Her cold, hard tone made her feelings toward him perfectly clear. Victor looked from Sophia to me, his face a rigid mask of humiliation. He must have felt like he'd swallowed a fly. Finally, under the mocking stares of the entire office, he slunk away. I, on the other hand, was summoned to Sophia's office for a private chat about the divorce. Now Sophia was panicking. She clung to me, desperately trying to get close. "Mark, honey, we've slept together so many times. I'm your woman. Now why do you have to divorce me?" she pleaded. "Let's not get divorced, okay? Please stop this." Her attitude was more humble than I had ever seen it. She even started trying to please me right then and there in a way that left little to the imagination. But my resolve was firm. I was going through with the lawsuit. In the weeks leading up to the court date, Sophia pulled out all the stops. She started cooking for me. She dragged me to the movies, to romantic dinners, acting like a normal, loving couple. In private, she would initiate things between us, and whatever she wanted to do, I went along with it. After all, I still wanted her body. I just wanted to divorce her and take her money. I never said I wanted her out of my life. During this time, Victor became a ghost at the office, keeping his head down. He avoided me whenever he saw me, all his previous arrogance gone. But he was fired by Sophia. "Anyway, Izzy, you can't do this to me," he begged, cornering her in the parking garage. "Hi, I came back to this country for you. You're the one who never told me you were married. You let me believe I was your boyfriend. I'm the laughingstock of the entire company, and now you're firing me too." I happened to be driving by and decided to stop and enjoy the show. "Yes, I deceived you when we were chatting online," Sophia admitted coldly. "But you deceived me too. Weren't you married when you were overseas? And for the record, I never once said you were my boyfriend. That was all in your head." So it had come to this. The two once sweet online lovers had reached the end of the road. Good. This was exactly the outcome I'd wanted. "Sophia," I called out, not wanting to watch the whole pathetic drama unfold. I gave her a little wave from my car, interrupting Victor's whining. "Come on, let's go home." Hearing my voice, Sophia's face lit up. Her husband was calling her home. Did that mean he was going to drop the lawsuit? Filled with a new sense of hope, she left Victor standing there and practically skipped over to my car, sliding into the passenger seat. We were all over each other on the ride home. The second we walked through the door, we were at it again, a battle that raged for hours. The bond between us was growing stronger by the day, like we're a new couple in the throes of first love. As for Victor, after being fired, he tried to find a new job, but he was rejected by every company he applied to. He had no real skills, he'd been coasting on Sophia's influence the whole time. Eventually, Victor became a male model. Then he teamed up with a few violent thugs and kidnapped me. They succeeded. Mark, you were married to Sophia this whole time, and you never told me, he screamed, yanking me by the collar of my shirt. As I sat tied to a small chair, you said you were just business partners. Was it fun lying to me? I admit I lied to you, I said calmly. But you know, Saint either. Besides, it was a secret marriage, and we were in the middle of a divorce. You're both scum. Victor's face twisted with rage. I finally figured out when you were alone with Sophia in her office, you were doing that, weren't you? Was it good? Was sleeping with her good? I'm gonna make you both pay. He then pulled out his phone and called Sophia, demanding she bring $20 million in cash alone for my release. He warned her that if she called the police, he'd kill me on the spot. Listening to this, I couldn't help but roll my eyes. This guy had no idea how much space $20 million in cash takes up. Did he really think Sophia could carry that by herself? After the call, Victor hung up and turned to me, a sick obsession in his eyes. When your wife gets here, I'm gonna screw her right in front of you. And I won't be the only one. My buddies here gonna have a turn too. I want you to watch us take her one by one. His failure to sleep with Sophia had clearly driven him mad. Too bad for him. He was never going to get the chance. Freeze, police. Suddenly the doors burst open and the room was flooded with armed officers, their guns all aimed at Victor and his crew. From the moment I was kidnapped to the moment I was rescued, less than 20 minutes had passed. I had been having Victor monitored the whole time. How could he possibly kidnap me so easily? The truth was I had let him succeed. I waited for him to make his ransom demand, and then the police, who were already on standby, moved, and I wanted to maximize his criminal charges, demanding a $20 million ransom. Barring a miracle, Victor was going to be eating prison food for the rest of his life. When I got home, I found Sophia still frantically trying to gather the cash. The entire living room was filled with stacks of $100 bills. When she saw me walking safe and sound, she burst into tears. I held her for a long time, comforting her, until she finally calmed down. We looked for all the world like a deeply devoted, loving couple. But when the day of our divorce hearing came, I still didn't withdraw the lawsuit. In court, Sophia's eyes were red-rimmed and fixed on me. She didn't say a single word the entire time. She couldn't possibly understand why, after the passionate night we had shared, we were still standing here about to be divorced. My lawyer presented the evidence, the screenshots of her intimate chats with Victor, the edited video of them hugging, photos of them entering a hotel room together, and pictures of them sharing a romantic meal. Sophia looked at the evidence and just shook her head. No, that's not right. Victor and I only chatted online, and that was a long time ago. Nothing physical ever happened between us. She tried to explain that night at the hotel. I was just helping him to his room. I actually stayed in the room next door. My husband was there with me, even though she insisted she hadn't cheated. The evidence I'd fabricated was overwhelming. She had no way to explain it all away. In the end, the court found her to be the at-fault party in an adulterous affair. The judge granted our divorce on the spot. She was awarded 40% of our marital assets. I got 60%. After the verdict was announced, I walked over and took Sophia's hand, a smile on my face. Izzy, we're just divorced. We're not broken up. Don't look so grim. Give me a smile. Sophia was completely baffled by my actions. Mark, what do you mean me? I shrugged. I just wanted to divide the assets. I never said I wanted to separate from you the assets. Sophia wasn't stupid. It suddenly dawned on her. Her husband didn't want to leave her. He just wanted her money. So the money is more important than me? She asked, a new wave of tears welling in her eyes as she tugged on my sleeve. I squinted at her and asked back, what do you think? A small, tearful smile broke through her sadness. I guess the money is more important. See, even she knew it. When you're talking about $1 billion fortune, any rational person knows the money is more important. It wasn't that people didn't matter, of course, but Sophia wasn't a pure romantic. The moment she refused to sign the 50-50 divorce agreement, I knew she was the same kind of person as me. And so we went on living like that. We were together every day, closer and more intimate than we ever were before the divorce. Even after we had our second child, I never remarried her. I've always believed in one simple: when faced with enormous wealth, human nature can't be trusted. I won't trust anyone as long as I have my money safely in my hands. No one can ever hurt me.